Good morning, dear students. Yesterday I could not upload the video because of some other works. So today I will upload instead of yesterday. So we will continue to the multivariate analysis of variance. This is also called analysis of dispersion or generalized analysis of variance in other books. So this is the last part of our testing general linear hypothesis part. Now let us see what is the statement of the problem in the MANOVA or multivariate analysis of variance. Here we consider the problem of testing hypothesis as not mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu3 is equal to mu k. So there are k means. In k given p-variate normal populations, we have k normal population, np mu1 sigma, np mu2 sigma, np mu k sigma. On the basis of k independent random samples drawn one from each population. Okay, so we have k populations, we have k independent random samples, one from each of the populations. So our problem is to test the hypothesis in equation 1, that is mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu k. Okay, this is the problem of testing equality of mean vectors. The problem of testing equality of mean vectors having a common dispersion matrix as in equation number 1 is generally called the problem of multivariate analysis of variance. Okay, so in the univariate case also, you remember we were testing several means, that is mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu k. Here also several means in the multivariate population. So these are mean vectors, not simply means. Mu1, mu2, mu k are mean vectors. So the problem is to test this. Now what we have seen in this theorem, the next theorem, we will have two theorems regarding MANOVA. In the first theorem, what we have shown is that the problem of testing S naught of this kind, mu1, mu2, mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu k, is nothing but a problem of testing general linear hypothesis, so that we will apply all the results related to the problem of testing general linear hypothesis to this problem of MANOVA, multivariate analysis of variance. So in order to simplify the solution of this problem, first we will show through this theorem that the problem of MANOVA is nothing but the problem of testing general linear hypothesis. Okay, so let us do some part of the proof because it is a little bit long. Let us see how much time we take. So the sample is x1i up to xnii, be a random sample from np mu I sigma, I goes from 1 to k. We have k populations, so I goes from 1 to k. So from the ith population, we have a sample of size ni, x1i, I denoting for the ith population. So the sample from the ith population, and the ni is the sample size of the ith population. Sorry, sample size drawn from the ith population. Okay, so the hypothesis in 1 now can be written as, now hypothesis is mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu k. So this can be written as mu1 minus mu k, if this is equal, mu is equal to mu2 minus mu k is equal to mu k minus 1 minus mu k is equal to 0. Okay, this is 0 vector. See how it is equivalent to the given hypothesis, mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu k. So you subtract mu k from each of mu1, mu2 up to mu k minus 1, and if they are equal, then it will be 0. Now define the P by K matrix. B is equal to, it is partition B1, B2 by B1 is mu1 minus mu k, comma mu2 minus mu k, comma dot dot dot. So on mu k minus 1 minus mu k. Okay. So what is the order of this matrix? So it's mu1 minus mu k is having P components. So B1 will have P rows. And how many columns? From mu1 to mu k minus 1, k minus 1 columns. Okay. And the B2 is simply the last component, mu k last vector. So this will be P by 1 matrix, or this is a vector in terms of matrix. You can call it P by 1 matrix here. Now with these notations, the hypothesis in 2 can be written as B1 is equal to 0. Okay, this hypothesis in 2 can be written as B1, if we put B1, this is equal to 0. This is clear. Now put n is sum of the ni's, okay, n1 plus n2 plus nk. Then the observation matrix can be written as, now let us denote the observation matrix by y1, y2, yn. Okay, what is y1, y2, yn? This is the observation matrix, x11, n11. So from the first, this is from the first population, that is np mu1 sigma. And so from the second population np mu2 sigma, we will have x12, comma x22, comma xn22. Okay, those parts are not shown here. Only the first term is shown here. And for the kth population np mu k sigma, we will have x1k, x2k, xnkk. Okay, so the last term is written here. So you can expand it also, not necessary at that moment if you understand. So that this y alpha follows np mu I sigma if n1 plus n2 plus ni minus 1 plus 1 less than alpha is less than or equal to n1 plus n2 plus ni. Now how to verify this? In order to elaborate this, you take I is equal to 1, then in that case for I is equal to 1, alpha is less than or equal to n1 here. If I is equal to 1, then this will be 0. So starting from 1 to n1, if alpha lies between 1 to n1, then alpha will follow np mu1 sigma. Okay, that means those y alphas lying between 1, where alpha lies between 1 and n1, it will be distributed as np mu I sigma. That means those y alphas are coming from the first population, np mu1 sigma. So similarly you can verify others. Now let us now define the k by n matrix. A is equal to ai alpha by ai alpha is equal to 1 if this happens, n1 plus ni plus 1 is less than alpha less than or equal to n1 plus n2 plus ni. I goes from 1 to k. And for all alpha, whenever I is equal to k. So this will be I, small I. You correct it. This is small I. This is small I. Is equal to 0 otherwise. Now this, try to write down the matrix A like this. You will understand the matrix A. For explanation's sake, the matrix A will look like this. This matrix A will look like this. So 1, 1, 1, 1, how many terms? Up to n1 from the first population. All other terms will be zeros. This will, you remove this. This bracket is not required. Okay. And from the second term, from the second population, up to n1 terms, it will become 0. And starting from n1 plus 1 up to n1 plus n2. This will be 1, 1, 1 again, unities. All other terms will be 0. And the last row will be all ones because of the definition. What is the definition? Here. And for all alpha, whenever 1 and for all alpha whenever I is equal to k. Because of this, the last row will be all unities. Okay. Hence, if A alpha denote the alphabet column of A, then each A alpha contains two unities, namely the ith component. Here is the first component and last component, up to n1, up to the first population. That is 1 alpha lies between 1 to n1, 1 to n1. Okay. And for the second, that is n1 plus 1 to n1 plus n2. Then their two unities will be this one and the last one. So similarly, like this. For the third, you can have, and then the last component, the ith component whenever this, and then the last component. So two unities. The alphabet column will have all two unities. So this part is not required for the proof, but I just incorporate is in order to understand the appearance of the matrix A. So then B alpha, now B alpha is mu I. You check this easy. It follows from equation number 4 that y1, y2, yn are independent observations from NPBA1 sigma, NPBAN sigma respectively. Now this is what we have seen in the definition of general linear hypothesis. You recall, you look back and you will see. Hence, since the hypothesis is of the form in equation number 3, that is B1 is equal to 0. Now, 0 matrix, B1 is equal to 0 matrix is just like B1, B naught. In the general linear hypothesis, we denoted it by B naught. Now it is B naught is 0. So is of the form 3. You look back, it follows that the multivariate analysis of variance is the problem of testing general linear hypothesis. So this complete. You try to understand it by watching the video again and again until you understand thoroughly. We can explain it. If there is any step missing out. So we have 12 minutes 30 seconds. So I will conclude here. So have a good day ahead.